Hello everyone and welcome back to another review. Today we've got the Sith Troopers Battle Pack, which is a battle pack retailing for $15, which is pretty decent for 4 minifigures. This is set 75266, rated for ages 6 and up, and has 105 pieces, which is pretty good for a battle pack. Now up at the front here we do have the 2 Jet Troopers kind of making their way onto the back of this here little cruiser. We do have the regular Sith Trooper there firing the stud-loaded shooter up at the front, and also their commander sitting back as this cruiser kind of just passes by on the battlefield. This is, of course, the Kylo Ren box art. However, on the back we can see everybody's kind of off on their own patrol, with everybody having a stud-loaded shooter, which is pretty unfortunate weapon-wise. However, if you're into collecting them, you get a bunch here in this set, with a little bit of an area to kind of clip one of them onto the set, and the rest you can kind of just put wherever. Starting up our minifigures, we do have the Commander minifigure, which does not have any leg printing, unfortunately. However, they do have themselves a belt buckle, which is some nice added detail. They then have a little bit of a red on their torso to kind of signify their allegiance to the Sith, with a bit of a ranking tag, which is pretty interesting over there, and then just a classic undershirt, nothing too special over there on the torso, with some black gloves and black sleeves. Up on their head, they're not too keen on anything. They don't have a mic piece or anything to communicate with anybody else. However, they do have a more stern looking face instead of the general angriness that you might see in a typical head. However, if you do look on their head, they do have some kind of marking there to kind of signify their officer status. The back of the minifigure, meanwhile, does not have too much to show other than 2 kind of indentation lines to express the fabric of the material, and then just like the back rim of the hat, with no other detail aside from that. No hair, no nothing. Just a pretty basic minifigure, but still one that's an interesting inclusion for this set. Next up, we have a very red trooper here, and these are definitely the troopers that most people wanted from this set. There's definitely the Jet Troopers, which are a nice inclusion. However, I feel like the standard Sith Trooper is the one that really has a lot of highlighted attention, specifically maybe due to their red coloring and their allegiance to the Sith. However, they have a lot of detail packed into this character. There's a lot of subtle detailing. However, starting up at the bottom, they don't have too much there on the feet more specifically. However, moving on to their legs, they do have some knee pads, and then they have some utility coming off of their belt, with their belt having the typical of what you would expect from a regular stormtrooper. Even though this is the Sith Trooper, they have generally the same aesthetic of the First Order, because they're a re-skinned variant of them, if you could say. Then moving a little bit up, they do have some battle plating, with a little bit more of the chest indentation there, with no real detail on the arms, unfortunately. However, they do again have black gloves. Over on the helmet, they do have some darker red there to kind of mix in with the regular red that's we're seeing, and then they also have the thin lines that you'd expect from the First Order troopers, with written in black there to kind of make them have eyes and mouth features and all that jazz, with the back of the trooper being nothing too special. However, you do get a lot more detail on the belt there, with some extra utility, and also just the back plate of the regular armor that they wear. Head-wise, this character, like the Jet Trooper, which we'll get to in a minute, does have the regular angry clone face, so nothing too particular, no backside head, but they are still very angry with some raised eyebrows there. Our final character here is the Jet Trooper, which does unfortunately share the same leg printing as the regular Sith Trooper. However, we do get 2 of them, which is a pretty nice thing, that we get a bit more Trooper than Captain or Commander, which is very nice to see. Now, their torso printing is very interesting, as they do share the same design as the Pisana Speeder Chase Jet Trooper. However, this one is completely red instead of the classic white. Now, they do have a little bit of writing there on their main armor plating at the front, which pops out due to the black lining of it, with their little marker there, which is like the triple triangle. Now, on the sides, they do have a little bit of faded detail, which is a little bit hard to see. I can't quite make out what it is, but over there on both sides, it looks like they have some extra utility. Now, moving up to their helmet, they do have some aviation kind of specialized equipment there over their mouth, so that they can kind of handle the high altitude situations that they might be in. Looking a little bit up, they do have their more so just like a thin line for their eyesight, which isn't that crazy because it's very thin, so I doubt that they can see too much there. And then moving up, they have some dark red lines which kind of fold down over to the top of their or front of their eyes. Now, the side is pretty special because it is a bit more tilted than the other stormtroopers. However, something to note about these helmets is that they're very flimsy and tend to fall off pretty often. On the back, this trooper is pretty special as they do have a large jetpack, given the name, the Jet Trooper. So on this, it's pretty normal as you might expect. However, it isn't the typical Mandalorian jetpack. It's a new specialized version for all of these First Order Jet Troopers. So the fun part about this is that it does have a unique design and it allows for a little bit more customability because it does have a 1x1 tile there that you can place or add on to. In this case, it does just have one with some extra fuel canisters and then again that logo. And then moving down, you do have the general just jet thrusters that you might expect. It's a very sleek design and it looks very good. But taking it off does reveal quite a complex back printing, which is quite surprising for a minifigure that doesn't really have their back showing too often. However, they do still have the simple torso plating that you might see on the regular Sith Trooper. However, under it they have a lot more of like that cloth padding that they wear underneath, and then followed up by a little bit more of their armor there with some extra detailing. It looks very good, and it's very surprising that they would put so much detail onto a minifigure's back that you don't really get to see. However, it's still very nice so that if you're not using them as a Jet Trooper, you get some extra detailing on the back, which is very nice. The fun part about this speeder is that you can actually slightly change just one thing, and instead of putting this front blaster on the regular clip, you can just put it on the back clip, and then you can just fit all the minifigures inside very easily, and they will fit. You do lack a little bit of turret control there, but I think that's pretty fine considering the fact that you can fit all of the intended minifigures in there, even the Jet Troopers, which is very nice. You do have a little bit of a control stick there to kind of access everything and a few small little windshield pieces. Overall, it's a pretty compact design in this very nice little blue here. You do get these two little thrusters on either side, and they look alright for the small scale. It does glide pretty easily as it does have some reverse tiles there. So pretty simple little build here. It does fit the criteria of a little bit of a speeder there, so you do have a little bit of transportation here. It's not the worst battle pack build in the world. It's nothing too crazy though, so if you're expecting something like a crazy build here, this isn't really the set. However, the minifigures are pretty good, so if you need to build up your Sith Trooper collection, this is definitely a set to do it because it's one of the cheapest ones to get a bunch of Sith Troopers out of, and you do get more of the Jet Troopers than the actual Sith Troopers, but I think that's fine. You can just kind of, at one point, if you're buying a bunch of these, you can just start selling off some of the Jet Troopers, which isn't a bad idea, or you can just keep and amass a large amount. Really up to you. This isn't a bad set, so I do recommend at least picking up one of these, unless you're not a big fan of the sequel trilogy, in which case just kind of ignore this one and try something else that might suit your fancy. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.